When the NFL released the 2025 schedule last week, the Falcons slate caught more than a few eyes. Multiple primetime games for a team that finished 8-9 last season? That alone tells you something. Something the league believes in deeply, even if the outside world is still catching up. Today, I want to unpack what this really means. This is a perspective you haven't heard before, one that goes beyond the surface numbers and gets into the heart of why the Falcons are suddenly so prominent under the national spotlight. Buckle up. This is going to be fun. The Falcons' schedule, more than just opponents. We knew their opponents, we knew the venues, but what really jumps off the page is when the Falcons are playing. They're set for 6 standalone primetime games, a number that towers over anything they've had in nearly a decade. Here's the thing. Technically, primetime means playing at night. But if you're the only team on TV, even a 9:30 a.m. game against an international opponent counts as primetime in today's NFL. Because in this era, if there's nothing else on, everyone is watching you. Last year, after the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins, they played 5 primetime games, more than the previous 3 years combined. And before that, you have to go back to 2017 to see anything close to this level of national attention. What the league is saying with primetime slots. Let's be clear, this isn't random. NFL insiders have been dropping hints. Adam Schefter recently said, the NFL is saying bring on Michael Penny and what he can do. Penny to Drake London, Penny to Darnell Mooney, Penny to Bijan Robinson. It's going to be fun to watch. The league is in for more. Mark Ross from NFL Network echoed this on the Insider's show, wondering if this is a quirk of the schedule or a sign the league believes Penny could be an MVP candidate, ready to lead a Falcons resurgence. This tells us the league isn't just scheduling games, they're betting on Penny and this team to deliver excitement and drama under the brightest lights. Why so much prime time? 2 theories. I've got 2 reasons why the Falcons snagged these high-profile games despite an 8-9 record last year. The NFL believes in Michael Penny. The league's in the business of creating matchups that drive ratings and revenue. Penny's skill set, weapons, and potential MVP-level ceiling make him a perfect centerpiece for the league's TV partners. This is about more than just football. It's about business and belief. The Falcons are a market on the rise. With a young talent like Drake London and Bijan Robinson, plus a rising star quarterback, the Falcons have all the ingredients for compelling storylines that the NFL wants front and center. More primetime games mean more eyeballs, more buzz, and ultimately more investment from broadcasters. What's next? We'll dig deeper into Michael Penny's role tomorrow, breaking down why the league's faith in him might be the most important storyline for the Falcons' 2025 season. But for now, remember this. The NFL's primetime schedule isn't just about who you play, it's about who they think you are. And for the Falcons, that means a whole new level of expectation, excitement, and national spotlight. The NFL's primetime schedule is no accident. It's carefully crafted with one goal: maximize viewership and cash in on those massive TV contracts with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon. They want the best teams on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and Thursday Night Football to ensure millions of eyes are glued to their screens. So here's the big takeaway. The league believes the Falcons are going to be a good team this year. They see enough potential under Michael Penny's leadership to slot Atlanta into the primetime bubble alongside the league's top draws. 2 reasons behind Atlanta's primetime spotlight. Reason number 1 is straightforward. The NFL is convinced that the Falcons will outperform expectations after last year's 8-9 finish. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a calculated gamble on Penny's growth and the team's talent. Reason number 2 is about the market itself. Atlanta is a massive media and sports market that frankly hasn't received its fair share of primetime love in recent years. The league wants to change that. The NFL wants Atlanta, with all its passionate fans and vibrant culture, to thrive on the national stage again. And here's the key. These reasons are not mutually exclusive. I believe it's both. The NFL sees a team on the rise in a city ready for prime-time football excitement. With all the hype around Penny, this feels like the perfect moment to re-energize the Atlanta market and give fans a reason to tune in every week. How unusual is this primetime boost? Now, here's where it gets interesting. I spent over an hour digging through NFL history so you don't have to. The Falcons landing 5 or 6, if you count it my way, primetime games coming off an 8-9 season? That's pretty rare. Only 4 teams this year have 5 or more primetime games after losing more games than they won last season. Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers. Dallas is always going to get a ton of primetime games regardless. They're a national brand with a huge fan base. Miami and Atlanta? A bit more surprising, but there's context. Miami was in the playoffs recently and has a healthy quarterback who could easily push them to 10 wins this year. The NFL loves seeing competitive teams in primetime slots. It drives excitement and ratings. San Francisco, meanwhile, had a down year but is expected to bounce back strong. Their recent track record suggests they'll be fighting for a Super Bowl spot again, making primetime appearances a logical choice. So for Miami and San Francisco, this all makes sense. But Atlanta? That's the big question the league seems to be answering with this schedule. They believe the Falcons are ready for a breakout season, and they're willing to put the spotlight on them to prove it. This one's a bit trickier to understand. Why would the NFL give the Falcons so much primetime exposure when they haven't been to the playoffs recently? Unlike Miami, Dallas, or San Francisco, Atlanta's recent record doesn't exactly scream primetime powerhouse. So I dug into the data. What happens when a team coming off a losing season gets thrown into the national spotlight with multiple primetime games? Spoiler, history isn't exactly kind. Lessons from recent primetime teams coming off losing seasons. Take the Falcons themselves as a starting point. In 2022, they went 7-10. The next year, after signing Kirk Cousins, they got 4 primetime games and finished 8-9. Not a dramatic leap, but at least a slight improvement. Now stretch that across the league over the last few seasons, and the pattern becomes clearer. The Jets, after losing seasons, got 6 primetime games and then lost even more. Twice. The Packers are an exception, narrowly flipping from 8-9 to 9-8 while getting 5 primetime games. The Raiders, after a 6-11 season, got gifted 5 primetime slots following major roster moves, then went 8-9. The Bears, after a brutal 3-14 season, got 4 primetime games and still ended up 7-10. I found 9 examples since 2021 of teams with losing records getting at least 4 primetime games the following year. Out of those 9, 8 still finished with losing records. The brutal reality. History isn't on Atlanta's side. The cold truth? When the NFL dumps a team with a recent losing record into the primetime mix, history says you're probably headed for another rough year. And if you're the viewer, you're stuck watching a product that often disappoints, primetime or not. Look at Chicago. They kept getting primetime love, but the product on the field was rarely compelling. Then the spotlight shifted to Denver when they landed Russell Wilson before moving again to the Jets. The Jets, desperate for relevance, got hit with a primetime overload despite struggling mightily. We all hated it. The fans, the viewers, the NFL itself. Now the torch is passing to Atlanta. Atlanta's primetime gamble, 1 year to prove it. Maybe this primetime boost for the Falcons is a 1-year experiment. Maybe Michael Penny really is the catalyst for a breakout season. But as someone who studies history, and yes, someone who's currently watching a Bin Laden documentary on Netflix while his fiancée is out of town, I can tell you this. The NFL's bet on the Falcons is bold, but it's far from guaranteed. And if the Falcons stumble, the backlash from fans forced to watch the games will be loud and unforgiving. Primetime is a double-edged sword. It can elevate a team's profile or expose their weaknesses for all America to see. Look, early in my life, I wasn't expecting much from this Falcons team. They weren't good last year, that's clear, and yet here they are, handed a primetime spotlight before they've truly proven they belong. It's a club no team wants to be in. We think you might be better this year, so here's the big stage. Now show us. That's a lot of pressure. But I'm choosing to be optimistic. The Packers went 8-9 and then nudged their way to 9-8 the following season. The Falcons? They also finished 8-9 last year. So why can't Atlanta make that same step forward, maybe even push beyond to 10-7, a winning season? That's the hope. That's the possibility hanging in the air. If they do, this primetime spotlight will feel well-deserved. What comes next? For now, all we can do is watch, wait, and hope the Falcons seize their moment. Because when the lights are brightest, that's when legends start to emerge or falter. The 2025 season will tell the story.